Hey, what's up, guys? Brian Barrera here, CEO of LC Innovation. Super excited, as always, to show you guys the next model, the next grid we're going to go after. I've shared 6 videos already on the 5 tool employee framework. And then also, I just shared 2 videos, which is behavior under pressure. It's a behavior under pressure that scale, that grid that I showed. That's what's under the hood, behind the curtain of the 5 tool employee framework. That is some items to look after when you're in high pressure situations, right? How they act under pressure. That's kind of what started off the whole 5 tool employee framework, is how people act differently after 90 days, how people act differently in front of the bosses, how people act differently when they're under the gun, when they're in a tight deadline, when their commissions on the line. How do they act where their systems on the line? That is huge. It's huge to understand that. That's what's under the hood, behind the curtain. But I really can't wait to go after this one, the behavioral calibration grid. Once again, I created a lot of this information, a lot of this stuff with AI. It's my research, it's my words, but I had AI frame it, help me frame it, because there's so much to go over. But as I mentioned in the last 2 videos, there's toxic leadership, a grid for that we're going to go over, dedicated to Dr. Art Padilla and Hogan. And then there's other stuff we're going to go after too. But there's about 4 or 5 main grids that we're going to go after. A lot of the other additional stuff is to understand why I did certain things, why I said certain things, why I wrote certain things. It's to understand what's under the hood, like I said. So that's what the behavior under pressure was, right? That was a measurement tool is what it was, and a calibration tool. This is also the same thing, but this one goes even deeper than that. That one was just to understand pressure. It's just to understand how they act under pressure. If you're in a meeting, you can pull that document out. You can bring it up, and you can look at it while you're in a meeting to see if there's some high tension in those meetings, right? But this is the behavioral calibration grid. This is what puts everything together: tensions, pressure, all this stuff. That's what this grid is. Such a powerful tool that I built, that for you guys. But I want to get right into it, right? So, tool: speed, power, fielding, hitting for average arm strength, high expression, right? When you see it working, the expression, right? The expression of it, high expression. How does it look when it's rolling? How does it look like when it's really successful? How does it look, right? Speed is adaptive, it's intentional, right? Adaptive, pivot. You're able to maneuver quickly because you understand your cognitive balance is there. You understand when to take it personal, when not to take it personal. You understand when to go after that home run. You understand when to steal that base. You understand when to use your speed, right? That's how it's adaptive. It's intentional. That's where it's super high. It's when you understand what the situation needs and you step up to the plate and you move quickly. It's moving quickly. It's that cognitive space. It's not swinging for the fences. It's not fielding. It's the adaptability, the movement. When you cognitively understood, this is what I got to do. Whoop, I got it. That's the answer. It's not whoop, I got it. That's a lie, or that's just to make it look like I know what I'm talking about. No, it's intentional. It's like, I know what I'm talking about. This is the way we're going to move, right? How does speed look under pressure behavior? We talked about that, right? In the behavior under pressure grid: performative, reactive, right? Reactive meaning you're just too quick. You can't help yourself, or that person can't help themselves. They have to look like they know what they're talking about, or they have the right answer immediately. Usually the person that you see in that situation is the owner, the CEO, the C-suite, or the leader of a department, right? Because this belief that the strongest person in the room has the quickest answers because they have the most knowledge. They know the most. That couldn't be farther from the truth. The best professionals that I've worked with are learners, are people who are not reactive right away. They can sit there, and it doesn't matter what age group. You either have it or you don't. But the age group does not matter. It could be older people, it could be younger people, middle aged people. Doesn't matter. That gift to understand how to just sit there and be like, whoa, this is the way we're going to move forward with this. I need 30 seconds to think about it. Because, like I said, that's actually speed, because I need 30 seconds to think about it. I'm not lying about it and wasting a whole entire day based off my lie, or pissing someone off, making them leave my facility, making them travel back home in New York or New Hampshire or even in the UK, and we're all pissed off at each other because I needed to respond right away and it wasn't the answer that they liked or they appreciated. Now let's go beyond pressure. Let's go into tension theme: motion versus processing. So huge. Am I just doing this for the emotion, or am I actually processing what's going on? Huge, huge difference. Motion, this is the motion. I'm in that motion, right? I have to make sure that I answer right away because that's the motion that I'm in. Or is it processing? Am I really going to process this and then boom, come up with something quickly that I know is going to save the company, that I know is going to save this deal, that I know is going to get me through this audit, right? What if you're in the audit and you are doing something, but you're in a super bad situation with the auditor? The auditor is really coming down on you guys, really pissing you guys off. Um, or an inspection check in your restaurant, or OSHA, whatever, they're just all over you, right? Under pressure, you're starting to be reactive. You're starting to fight back and argue a little bit because that's the reaction that you're having. And you think that's tough and it's going to scare them off, but it's really not. Really, what you should do, should be doing is processing. Remember what I said? It's good, raw and uncut. I'm going to make some mistakes and we're going to roll forward because I want you to really feel that I'm passionate about this and I'm not going to do 50 takes to explain this. But the processing side of it, how fast can you process it efficiently to help the project moving forward, close the deal, get the audit done, processing. Let's move to power. Power, accountable, decisive. We talked about that once again in the behavior under pressure grid. We talked about that in the 5 tool employee framework. Accountable, decisive. Under pressure. Okay, well, I'm sorry, accountable, decisive, makes decisions, goes for that home run, goes for that RBI, swings for the fences. But on the other side, if you strike out, if you pop out, if you ground out, guys, my bad. That's my bad. I went for it. That's my fault. You shouldn't be doing that 5, 10 times. You should get to understand the mistake that you're making after the first or second time. But just understand, I am accountable. I'm accountable when we hit the home run. I'm accountable when we didn't hit the home run. That's what power is in a leader, right? Yeah, that was us. We went for that home run and we missed, but we missed together. We fell. We're getting back up. Now we're on blah, 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 blah. We're on all these projects. We're going to tear it up. Accountable, decisive, under pressure, ego driven, and controlling. Huge factors. Ego driven and controlling. The home run hitters, they like flipping the bats, right? They flip the bats and all that stuff. What are they doing? They strike out, right? They get pissed off. They get even more hardcore. The next time they come up to bat, they're going to make sure that they go for the fences again because they're going to beat that pitcher. So if you are in a meeting with someone and you went for the fences, you swung for the fences, and you didn't get the deal that you wanted, they didn't give you the certification that you wanted, they didn't give you the sales volume that you wanted, they didn't allow you to move forward with the project because you thought it's something, you thought what you were going to request was going to be acceptable, and they didn't accept it. They said, nope, we want you to keep going this way, not the way you want to do things. Is your ego going to get in the way, or are you going to let go? Are you going to control your team? Are you going to be so hard-headed that you're going to control your team and they're not going to want to talk to you anymore? And look how we are naturally getting into the tension. They're not going to want to talk to you anymore. You're so driven, you're pissing everybody off. And they know that if they come to you and they tell you anything negative about the project, the quote, the customer, whatever, that you're going to get pissed off and your ego is going to get in the way. You want to control the situation. Look where it's leading to: tension, theme, drive, and humility. That's the theme. That's the theme. Good is drive. I'm driven. We're going to get this done. But that's fighting with humility. Because sometimes when you're so driven, you don't see your blinders. You don't see your blinders. You don't see your blind spot. You don't see it because you're so driven. You're so focused on driving that thing, moving forward, that you're not seeing what's on the side of you, what's in your blind spot. And that right there takes away your humility because you're not humble enough to realize that you're not perfect. You're not humble enough to realize that I'm missing something here. What am I missing? What am I missing? We don't look at those kind of things. We don't when we're so driven because we're scared we're going to lose face. We're scared we're going to lose time. We're scared that the people that believe in us are no longer going to believe in us anymore. We're scared that we're going to ruin our company That's really what we're scared of. We're scared that they're not going to believe in us anymore, that they're not going to look at us like we're up here anymore. We're not up there. We are up there. I'm not up there by myself. We should be up there as a team. And that's where most people get it confused is we get so mad and we get upset. And then they always have somebody there who might have worked with them for a year or two or 10 or 15 years. They're like, well, that's the way they are because they care about the company that much. Is it the company they care about or is it their ego? That's what it is. It's ego driven, right? If you failed in the project and your team failed because of your failure in that project, that's a different story. You had one thing to do when there was 20 things to do and you failed at that one thing to do. Totally different. But that's what it leads to. Next one is feeling preventive, disciplined, right? It's that engineer who reads those manuals. It's that engineer that puts in preventative maintenance. It's that audit team that does a gap analysis before you're audited. It's that sales team that comes in that checks the material prices, that checks your quote, that checks your scrap rates every single day, that communicates with the client and tells them, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, but I got to raise the price. Oh, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, but your tools aren't running. Your product isn't as good as it was before, right? Or comes up and says, hey, you know what? I read your proposal. I gave you a quote. You came back at me with a proposal, and I'm not seeing it. I don't agree with that. Hey, you know what? I noticed that you want me to sign this sales agreement, but it has stuff that we never talked about before. Hey, you know what? I noticed you wanted me to sign this memorandum of understanding, but you gave me a deadline, but my lawyers have to read it, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's being disciplined, preventative. How does it look under pressure? Rigid and overwhelmed, right? It's too much. It's too much for me. Oh man, like I gotta get that done. No, I can't help you with that because I gotta get this stuff done for that audit. Oh, I can't help you with that because I gotta make sure I get this contract done. Oh, I can't help you with that. I can't even talk to you because I gotta get this quote done. Which is due in 3 weeks, but I have to get it done because that's the way I am. I have to get it done right now, which is rigid. Look how everything we talk about leads organically into the next step. And that leads into your systems and your flexibility. You're not flexible. You're not seeing outside of the box. You believe that this is your box and I'm going to stay in my box. And people who think outside the box is because they never built a box. I've heard engineers say that before, that how can you go outside the box when you've never built your own box? I get it. I totally understand. Systems, do I believe in these systems? If you believe in your systems, then you know they're adaptive. If you believe in your systems, you know they're agile. They can move around, they can pivot, they can adapt. That's a true system, right? We talked about businesses for the last 30, 40 years, and there's been books and articles written, and CEOs and leadership always say that the strongest companies are built to last. That could not be farther from the truth. Maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, that's the case. And I get it. There was different times then. But today, it's the companies that are built to adapt. Those are the ones that are going to win. I think Simon Sinek wrote about that. But think about that. The system's the same thing. The system is inside of the company. The system needs to be built to adapt. It needs to be flexible. That's what happens. That's the tension. It's the systems and the flexibility. Yeah, you can have your system, but we need to be able to play in your box. That needs to happen. You can't just throw people out of your box. There has to be flexibility there. And that's the theme, the tension that we're seeing. It's the systems and the flexibility. Your systems are amazing. They're awesome, right? They're great. But when you can no longer make those systems flexible, it doesn't make any sense. They call that silos, I believe. Next one is her hitting for average, reliable, resilient. I love hitting for average. I keep talking about that in the employee framework. I talk about it inside of the behavior under pressure. This is the calibration grid. Reliable, resilient. So huge, so important. Getting on base, getting hit by a pitch, getting a walk, legging it out, seeing that the outfielder is lagging it a little bit, which could be your competitor. Your competitor is lagging a little bit. So you're going to take second base because you're right there. You're rounding first. You just did your single and you see second. The guy's lagging it. You're going to take that. You're going to take that base because they're lagging it. Your competitor's lagging it. So you're going to take it over. Sometimes you don't need to hit a home run to get a RBI. You don't need to get a home run to get a run. Sometimes you just need to get on base. By getting on base, think about that for a second. Let's say you just got to first base. Let's say you got to first base and that's all that you wanted. You're super, super happy. But taking that second base What if the person comes up next, next batter that's up, gets a base hit? You could score from second. You couldn't score from first, right? Let's say they get an easy out. Let's say there's two outs. Let's say there's one out in the ninth inning. One out in the ninth inning. You're in a tie game. You get that. You get the next batter up gets uh, pop out, right? No, not a pop out.